For staying with us, as several Nigerian youths continue to troop to the streets for the nationwide protest over economic hardship, the impact is taking a toll on the economic itself. As the protest enter day 4, President Bola Tinubu has called on the organizers to end the protests and embrace dialogue. In a nationwide broadcast, President Tinubu warned citizens against ethnic bigotry and divisive rhetorics in the guise of protests. Let's hear from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The families and relations of those who have died and the protests, we must stop further bloodshed, violence and destruction. As the president of this country, I must ensure public order in line with the constitutional oath to protect the lives and property of every citizen. Our government will not stand idly by and allow a few with a clear political agenda to tear this nation apart. Under the circumstances, I hereby enjoin protesters and the organizers to suspend any further protest and create room for dialogue, which I have always acceded to at this lightest opportunity. Nigeria requires all hands on deck and need us all, regardless of age, party, tribe, religion, or other divides, to work together, reshaping our destiny as a nation. To those who have taken undue advantage of this situation to threaten any section of this country, be warned. The law will catch up with you. There is no place for ethnic bigotry or such threats in the Nigeria we seek to build. Our democracy progresses when the constitutional rights of every Nigerian are respected and protected. Our law enforcement agencies should continue to ensure full protection of life and properties of innocent citizens in a responsible manner. My vision for our country is one of a just and prosperous nation where each person may enjoy the peace, freedom, and meaningful livelihood that only democratic good governance can provide. My dear Nigerians, especially our youths, I have heard you loud and clear. I understand the pain and the frustration that drive these protests, and I want to assure you that our government is committed to listening and addressing the concerns of our citizens. But we must not let violence and destruction tear our nation apart. We must work together to build a brighter future where every Nigerian can live with dignity and prosperity. Let nobody misinform and miseducate you about your country or tell you that your government does not care about you. Let's choose hope over fear, unity over division, and progress over stagnation. The economy is recovering. Please, don't shut out this oxygen.
Everybody, come and see. Home and wires, one in a Coleman wires and cable. Great quality. Now with the new look.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news.
Welcome back. Jide, President Tinubu coming out to address the nation.
Yes. We expected him to address the nation. I knew that at some point he would speak to the Nigerian people, either in form of a media chat, which I believe he should find the time to do.
We've not seen one.
We've not seen him do a media chat. And,
Since he came.
this president, if he can do several hours of fake meeting, is more than capable to do the media chat. It's about time, because some of the issues that the media chat will bring up, the presidential address will not bring it up.
Now in the street jacketed.
You need follow up.
There will be a lot of follow-ups that will make revelations to come, especially in an administration that will believe their ministers are not talking enough about some of the progress being made. So that is that. I don't want to go too much into that, but I found what he said, some of what he said, interesting. The president said, "I understand the pain and frustration that drives these protests. I want to assure you that our government is committed to listening and addressing the concerns of the citizens. But we must not let violence and destruction tear us apart." And he talks about the fact that he has injected 50 billion more into the student loan scheme. He also talked about what they are doing to stimulate agri-production by importing multi-billion equipment for mechanized farming. Yes, which is what we've always asked for. Help these farmers to tractorize their feeds, give them high-yield seedlings, make fertilizer available. If you watch the documentary that I did on Irish potato farming in Plateau State, they all were asking for fertilizers. We must make fertilizer available for our people if we truly want to stimulate agri production. And then the president talked about cultivating 10 million hectares of land. I believe that this has to be done. We have not cultivated enough of our arable land. I don't think that we cultivated more than up to even 25% of the arable land in our country. I mean, that's a big opportunity there. So we hope that things will change for the better. The pains that the people are going through, the president must find a way to reduce those pains. Prices of food, especially must come down. No matter what the president is doing in the area of infrastructure, student loan and all that, if he doesn't find a way to bring down food prices, people will say he has not done anything.
Dr. Sonny, stop the protest.
Well, I believe that the message has been delivered by the protesters. And I fear that the more the protests linger, the more some elements will try to cash in and cause mayhem in the land. I speak based on my experience on Wednesday.
We'll talk about
If not for the intervention of the military on the highway, I don't know if I would have gone home alive on Wednesday. On the highway, from the city center to Gwarimpa, I was blocked on the highway by weapons-wielding boys. And I had no option than to drive through the blockade. And they saw that I was serious because it was between life and death. And many other people were attacked. So the message has been delivered that things are hard, things are tough. And I believe the president has heard. I believe the government has heard. And something urgent needs to be done.
All right. Joining us for more discussion on this issue is the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu. Thank you for joining us, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you for hanging out with us, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister.
So, what do you make of the protests generally since it started last Wednesday?
Well, good afternoon, and I wish that you are having a happy Sunday afternoon. Before what I make of the protest, one has to appreciate that today our president spoke in a very statesmanly, not surprisingly, statesmanly, nationalistic, compassionate manner. And a leader who takes responsibility and who has called on all to appreciate the challenges, to sympathize with those who lost their lives and properties, and also commend those who behaved responsibly while giving warning to those who are hiding behind the desire of a segment of society to express themselves to cause mayhem. And in addition, summarizing a key number of initiatives that have been put in place by this government. We are not where we want to be. So that's, he said as much, but it is getting better. Governor Charles Soludo, the Anambra State governor, went as far as suggesting that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu inherited a dead economy, So today, that dead economy is breathing, and that is why the allusion, let us not starve it of oxygen. The protesters have been hard. All of us public officials who have been mandated by Mr. President in various ministries, departments, and agencies have been listening attentively throughout the period to hear the arguments, the message, and to incorporate it into what more we can do differently, how we can calibrate things differently. For us, in the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, we have maybe the most important task, because just as Mr. President said in his speech, to build a just and prosperous society, the national planning function, which is coordinated by this ministry, which is found in the Chapter 2 of our Constitution, Fundamental Objectives and Directive Principles of State, which contain both the economic, social, and political objectives of our existence, of our coming together as a nation to build a just society that works for all, and from where we derive an Agenda 2050, which is a perspective plan which suggests where we Nigerians came together and say, this is where we want to be by the year 2050. Mr. President summarized this in his vision, the Renewed Hope Agenda, which he campaigned upon, which is our strategy document in order to lead us to that utopia where we want to be by the year, to set us on the way to the utopia where we want to be. Choices have to be made. And because of where we are, meaning we are we do not have enough revenues as much as we wish. We are existing in a world that is not as generous. Interest rates are rising around the world, affecting our ability to service our debt. Trade barriers are enacted, investment flows are stunted. In all this, we have to craft what we need to do as a nation in order to achieve the objectives we set forth, meaning an economy that works for all, that is secure, that is food secure, that unlocks the potentials, that provide adequate infrastructure, unlock the potentials in the energy, invest in human capital development, as well as innovation and technology and creative economy, as well as evolve a governance structure that will make us deliver on those with the least pain. So this involves making choices, and sometimes choices for a responsible leader involve both those that are painful and not painful. And in order to achieve the objective of generating an economy that works for all, some of the measures that are needed may appear painful. So when we hear, not even before the protest, we had many people who are expressing different opinion. But what we invite all to do is that this is a honest conversation. Tell us where we are wrong in what we are saying. We don't have enough revenues. We don't have revenues to fund our priorities. We need to either find investors to come and put those revenues, or raise the revenue somehow, or borrow the money so that we can fund the dream of our populace and include all. And the measures that were taken to restore macroeconomic stability, just thus providing more revenue to the federal government, to the subnationals, and meaning both states and local government, and sending a message to investors and creditors alike that we are putting in place the parameters of an economy that can absorb and reward investors, that can demonstrate ability to pay creditors, so that the quantum of money that we needed to come in to support us will find confidence to. And we are encouraged by what we have seen so far. Mr. President had led engagement with investors, domestic and international. He has been acknowledged, the reforms have been acknowledged by world leaders, and we have seen beacons of light in terms of generation of investment and ability to access credit, contrary to what was before. In all this, we are not playing a blame game. Mr. President assured Nigerians that he inherited both the asset and liabilities of the government. He acknowledged that some of the challenges that we face as a nation comes from decades of choices not taken, or choices not sustained, or choices that were taken wrongly. But be that as it may, the moment has come for us to confront them. And I think that is a defining moment in our nation, that a statesman in the person of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu say, whatever was wrong before, let us confront our reality. And we have had our younger ones, we have had others who participated in expressing their views, and we, like Mr. President, are conscious that whatever we think we are doing right, we are being called upon to do more.
Okay. Honorable Minister, thanks for those clarifications. Nigerians want to see food prices go down. When we talk about some of the big steps that the government has taken that are yielding dividends, they don't want to listen. They are concerned about rising food prices, and no one appears to be ready to step in and stop the sometimes arbitrary increase in food prices. What is the government doing to bring down food prices at this time? And then secondly, we've seen two African countries now, Egypt and Ethiopia, floating their currency. Why are African leaders going along this route when it is a big driver of inflationary spike?
Well, thank you. I believe I had two questions. What can we do to bring down
food prices?
Food prices.
Yes.
And then why the African countries floating exchange rates? On the food prices, just like I said earlier, our food situation was a reflection of many factors. Ever since COVID, the world economy was affected by free flow of inputs. Energy prices have affected inputs. We had flooding. We had the challenges of insecurity, because even while it is abating, courtesy of the commendable effort of all our security agencies, but because of fear, many places confidence had not yet returned. And in addition, we have the currency redesign, which affected a whole cropping season, because of absence of liquidity affected farming activity in particular, as well as the fact that 2003 was a transition year. The Russia-Ukraine war has affected global food prices, have affected the trade in goods. So these cumulative effects were not an island, but a multiplicity of actions that President has spoken about, intervention to ensure that the agricultural sector is supported. Not only farmers, a lot of support is going to farmers, 2 million bags of fertilizer, among other interventions, are being distributed to all the states to support farming communities. The strategic storage, grains from strategic storage were distributed in order to lower food prices, in addition to additional distribution of food to both states and directly into the market, so as to lower prices, as well as the gains that are being made already in this wet season, because in most part of the country, the wet season farming is going on strongly, and we are already hearing stories about prices responding downwards in connection with the wet season. Equally, Mr. President have announced the creation of a livestock ministry, which is another component of the agricultural sector that we believe we can do more about. So these gains will be sustained. A National Agricultural Development Fund has been put in place. A number of approvals have been given for the importation and assembly of mechanical items, including tractors, that will support agricultural production, to the extent that we believe our agricultural production will expand. But let us also keep in mind that there is a structural issue, because the agricultural system that we require to feed 230 million people is different from that which is required to feed 119 million people that we were 25 years ago. So transformation, and this goes to the issue of the renewed hope agenda. We need to transform. We need to produce food differently. We need to support our agricultural sector with fast yielding, higher yielding seedlings and production methods. We have to drive production efficiency. So these measures shall be sustained, and food prices, we believe, will gradually continue and continuously be coming down, because even our inflation, the main contributing factor is food inflation. So this will also impact on inflation and indeed the exchange rate. Related to that is the question, why are African countries floating exchange
currencies?
And yesterday, just over the last 3 days, African finance ministers and central bank governors were in Abuja for an African caucus meeting, which is the first of its type that took place in our country, where the African caucus of the World Bank, meaning all the finance ministers and central bank governors, met and deliberated on Africa-specific issues. And speaker after speaker, they all acknowledge the challenge that Africa faces. We are facing combination of difficulties. The industrialized world is not as generous with credits or in terms or in both quantity and pricing that will help us fund our development. The needs are growing all across Africa. Most of Africa, there are challenges that are similar to those that are being faced in Nigeria. A young population that is desirous of taking on the world, but we have to find the resources for them. We have to create the enabling environment for them. We have to give them the skill set. Most African countries do not have the foreign exchange to fund these dreams. So, not because they like it, but they have to take measures that can ensure sustainability. That's floating the exchange rate, which may lead to temporary initial pains, but in the long run will help put the economies on a pedestal. And that, again, is a lesson for our young ones to know that we are even relying upon them because of their access to information much more than us, to know that global challenges are affecting every country. And if we pretend that they do not exist and get angry rather than finding innovative ways of solving them, we will be harming our economy and other economies will be prospering. I have said on a number of occasions that politicians like to be held, but a responsible politician will lead and encourage and convince the populace, let's take the difficult measure that will lead to a greater tomorrow. And our president has done that.
Honorable Minister, perhaps what Nigerians are worried about is that the level of hardship would not have been as harsh as it is at the moment. Why was it necessary to carry out 3 very serious policies at the same time? The president withdrew subsidy, followed by withdrew fuel subsidy on the day he was inaugurated, followed by withdrawal of subsidy on electricity, and then shortly after, the currency was floated, which has taken the economy into a free fall. If these things were done one at a time, don't you think there would have been some level of help for the Nigerian people? Because after all, the government exists primarily to make the citizens happy and be able to live with hope and confidence.
Thank you. Indeed, when you inherit 3 subsidies, a petroleum subsidy, an electricity subsidy, an exchange rate subsidy, at a time when you don't even have the revenues to fund the subsidies, is a very, very big challenge. But let's also remember that even before Mr. President was sworn in, the Petroleum Industry Act has been passed into law. And that act legislation has made the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation a private liability company that is supposed to make profit. So the foundation has been set for removal of petroleum subsidy by the Act. And equally, there was no provision for subsidy as at the time Mr. President was sworn into office. And we reckon that the removal of subsidy will cause shocks and vulnerabilities, especially to those at the lower end of the income strata. And that is why Mr. President, immediately upon being sworn in, renegotiated the 819 billion naira budget he inherited and told the National Assembly, look, you have to allow me use 500 billion of this money to fund social interventions. About 200 billion was allocated for agricultural intervention, 40 billion for nano, and 75 billion for micro and small-scale enterprises, as well as support to the other tiers of government. Equally, after doing that, an additional supplementary budget was proposed and passed, which is a 2.17 trillion naira budget, which made money available for security so that the security gains can be cemented and more people can go back to normal livelihoods, infrastructure, as well as cash awards to the labor unions and additional money for cash transfer to support the vulnerable populace. Why must we also allow electricity prices to go up? Not all the subsidy in the electricity sector has been removed. And the situation we found ourselves with is that the electricity sector has been deregulated. It is owned by companies, distribution companies, but they are not recovering cost. And they are complaining, and they are owing banks. So some select customers, Bond A customers who are deemed to be in a position to be able to pay, and that will be better off paying the grid electricity rather than generating it themselves, were moved to a new tariff. In order, all these things are designed to correct the distortions so that our economy can be saved from the pit it had fallen. equally, the exchange rate reform, the Central Bank of Nigeria was unable to defend the exchange rate regime we inherited. We were indebted, a lot of contracts were not paid, so foreign exchange flow into the economy is basically frozen. And Mr. President said, well, look, you must meet all contracts. Central bank should be independent. And therefore, they should be allowed to act in a way to restore confidence into the economy, which, of course, has its own short-term gains. Exchange rate movement will affect prices, but can also simulate exports. And we acknowledge that the combined effect of these three measures, bold and courageous as they might be, must be acknowledged, and we must generate tools for supporting the economy better. And a lot is being done, but even as it were, more money has been found now to the extent that we have youth-centric programs that our youth can take advantage of, only limited by imagination. Agriculture-centric programs, women-centric programs, medium and small-scale centric programs. We believe the combination of these enablers, in the sense that we are finding money that will fund opportunities in the different sectors of the economy, can compensate for the short-term gains and put us on a path to sustainable, all-inclusive recovery, while at the same time paying attention to vulnerable and ensuring that the social transfer system is made stronger, that it serves the need of those who have been affected, including the recent innovation that all those who have participated in the National Youth Service and are unable to find a job should register and continue to be supported until they find one.
Honorable Minister, let's talk about our currency. Many Nigerians are disturbed that our currency has become so weak, even when placed side by side with the currencies of the countries that are our neighbors. What steps are being taken, to make this currency stronger, or are we simply condemned to having this currency in its current state? Are we going to be seeing a resurgence of our currency in the coming days?
Oh, certainly. In the sense that, look, we are, I believe, currency-wise, we are almost in our worst position, because we decided to confront the situation. We don't have foreign exchange coming in at all. We did measures that now we see it trickling in. It's not pouring yet, but from all data we hear, it's trickling in, and it's bound to grow. Combined with the measures that are taken to boost domestic production, demand for foreign exchange may reduce because of those measures, and then the investments that are being done will pay off. Mr. President took one of the most commendable steps to show his confidence in the Nigerian economy and our naira by directing that domestic refiners should be sold crude oil in naira. And that is the biggest statement of confidence, because we are confident the Nigerian economy will rebound and our exchange rate will improve vis-a-vis other countries. But even while doing that, let us also not miss sight of the opportunity. What we even hope is that our exports will grow so that we are selling more to the world than just buying from the world.
Now, you talked about the desire to have our exports grow. If some years back, we were actually doing above 2 million barrels a day as an oil-producing nation. Now, we've gone back.
1.6.
We are told that based on the latest figures, we actually are doing 1.6 million barrels a day. If we were to do above 2 million barrels a day, maybe in the region of 2.5 million barrels a day, many people believe that we will be able to earn goods enough foreign exchange to the point that it can begin to have impact on the strength of our currency. What steps are being taken to move us to that period when we were doing about 2.3 million barrels a day, or probably even take us beyond that? After all, we see Saudi Arabia and the rest of them doing far higher than that.
Well, thank you. Not only that we need to be at 2.3, we even need to be higher, because 25 years ago, when our population is 119 million, we are doing 2.2 million barrels a day. So if one is to extrapolate from that, to maintain the same level of value, we need close to 4 million barrels a day. But cumulative years of underinvestment, whether in security challenge or underinvestment in production, has brought us to where we are. And you now have a president who is saying, I don't care whose fault it is, Nigerians. I'm not going to blame anybody. You have given me a mandate to lead us to a more prosperous future. The challenge is what choices are before us. The choices do not lie in lamentation, but in saying, this is where we have found ourselves. Let us tell ourselves the hard truth and do better. Yes, we are blessed, but as we know from the stories in the scriptures, Christian and Muslim, blessings should make you do more rather than less. We have seen how prophets have walked. So as a country, he is inviting us that let us appreciate that we need to take bold, courageous, and even sometimes painful measures in order to be where we want to be. Because if we continue with what is inherited, certainly the future will be more scarier.
Honourable Minister, I don't know if the government is worried at all about the fact that as a country, we have not been able to run the 4 refineries that we have in Nigeria, 2 in Port Harcourt, River State, 1 in Warri, Delta State, and 1 in Kaduna State. And for a whole country with 200 million people, does it worry the government that these refineries have remained in comatose state? And one of the ways Nigeria would have been able to stop importation of fuel and then end foreign currency to run its economy would have been the production of fuel locally. Why has it become impossible over the years to make these refineries, even if it is not all, to produce petroleum products to serve Nigeria, even locally, so that we stop importation, and if we produce more, we can sell and earn forex?
Thank you. I don't have all the answers, but it is illustrative of what I said has been numerous years or even decades of underinvestment. And for President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is not even about having the 4 refineries working. Why is Nigeria not a destination for refiners? Why are we even not marketing ourselves so that we can refine all the crude oil that is produced in Africa? Why not? Why can't we be a 20 million barrels refining capacity that we can do refining as a business? Those are the kind of dreams Mr. President support. That how can, because we have seen countries that are not producing oil at all having refineries. So that means we should even look at refining as an industry in itself and do better. But all these things are transformative and imaginative ideas. And I'm sure by the time the investment community see the kind of support, the kind of support President Aswaju is providing resonates with them, we will see more investment in those sectors. So yes, we wish our 4 refineries can work, but more than that, we are evolving a country where we even pray other investors will be motivated to come and set up more.
All right. I want to thank you, Honorable Minister for your Budget and Economic Planning. I want to thank you for taking time out on Journalist Hangout on Sunday to explain this issue. Jide?
Yes.
Atiku Bagudu, former governor of Kebbi State.
Is one of the most cerebral governors of his generation. He doesn't talk so much, but he's got brilliance, no doubt about it. I think he showed us today in a very calm manner what government is doing. We've been told that the Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream this month. We asked Ogamele Kiari. He said this time he's saying the truth. Port Harcourt refinery will begin to work. And from Port Harcourt refinery, we will expect that Warri, which is said to be our most modern refinery, will begin to work. And then, of course, there is plan for Kaduna refinery as well. So we are waiting. Nothing stops Nigeria from exporting refined crude. People in other countries, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, they are making good money from refining. We should be able to do that. We should be ashamed as a country that we have these resources and we can't use them because some people over the years felt it was cheap, it was easy to make money from importing crude oil. So we are confident that with time we will see these refineries working. The quantum of money that we spend importing petrol into our country is too huge. It's about 1/3 of our entire forest needs as a country. So hopefully that will change. And I think with the way that the minister has spoken, yes, we can say that some steps have been taken. What Nigerians really need to see quickly is price of food coming down, and it is verifiable that people can see, they know where they can go, where they can buy food at lower. Yes, there is no need. Many Nigerians are not interested in sharing this rice that we share up and down. Most of the time, it doesn't get to them. If there are places where they are designated to sell at rock bottom prices for people, they will be happy. Not one place, not 2 places. So that it doesn't lead to stampede. Create those areas where you can then sell at a much lower price to them. They will be happy to buy.
If you remember when this governor was still the governor of Kebbi State, him and Akim Miambode in Lagos State, they came together and they came out with lake rice. And we saw it. It was in the market. That kind of partnership with the governors, Lagos and Kebbi.
But Lagos didn't have the land.
And Kebbi had.
But let me tell you, I used to go to Kebbi. In a town called Aragongo, and Brennan Kebbi, the capital. The governor, this same man, used to take me to the farms. You can't see the end. And everybody, including civil servants, were provided with money and incentives to grow rice and wheat. And as you bring your produce from the farm, up-takers were ready there to buy, and they paid.
Okay, thank you once again. Thank you.
Minister
of Budget and Economic Planning. We have to leave it there. Thank you.
We hope to hang out with you some other time.
Thank you very much.